Well, thanks for being on time.
You're
It
welcome.
really is it is nice, particularly when I'm working in any organization, to have people be on time because I know that you've got just lots going on
Right.
right now. Why don't we begin by you're telling me a little bit about how you did with setting expectations with your people, both letting them know what they were doing well as setting the expectation that you might be short with them because of your own pressure or tension around this new drug, and also what you noticed about yourself in your out of work environment.
I try to apply the principle of being very clear with everybody in the last 2 weeks, and I did it on an individual basis. So I would go to people and say, well, these are my expectations, and I have very little room for error, and I know mistakes happen, but I want you to know that it's not personal if I am upset or if I'm short. And what I found is that it does work. People see where I'm coming from, see I'm under pressure, and I've had no problems in the last 2 weeks giving feedback. And we've had issues. They were all minor issues. We're still really in the stage where we're calibrating equipment over and over, doing checks, almost like when you're flying an airplane. You have to constantly do a systematic check of every single step along the way that could go wrong before you get into the airplane. And that's what I'm trying to work on with everybody, that they all get into a habit of doing the systematic checking. People are now, they're still used to going to work and just boom, starting with their equipment. I said, no, do systematic checks. I don't want any contamination. I want you to be as vigilant as you can be for mistakes, because we've got to get this done. We're so close. And yeah, I as far as being more aware of myself, yeah, I look at my approach. I guess I'm more conscious before I talk to people. That's all. Like if I...
That's big.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't. Before I would just be running and just snapping and being fast because there's little time, but I noticed that I'm more conscious of myself before I do something. I think a little bit more about the consequence.
That sounds really good to me. I think managers who think before they speak, and also who set really clear expectations, turn out to be managers that people respect and can make allowances for when those managers are under pressure and may react in a way that they don't want to react, even themselves. So that's big. It's really big, and I'm glad to hear it. And how about your life out of work? Did you have any life out of work this past 2 weeks?
I did not have any life out of work. I mean, I do cycle, and I cycle back and forth to work. That's my commute, and I try to make it longer to get exercise. I religiously work out at my lunch break. I eat lunch at my computer and I work out for about an hour. But now even it goes down to 30 minutes. I did have a great bouldering session with a woman who was in the gym and who was just climbing, and turned out we just bouldered together, and it was just lovely. It was a very nice person. And she's regular, so she comes back just like me at lunch. So she said she'll be back there next week on the same day. So I'm looking forward to climbing with her again.
That sounds great. Sounds wonderful. In this second session, I want to do something that may seem a little weird to you. And by weird, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that is inappropriate.
Oh, good.
By weird, I mean, I'm going to ask you to create for me an image and to paint that image with words as clearly and as vividly as you can. And the image is what you want your future to look like. Not just what you want to be as a great supervisor, but what do you want your future to look like? What are you going to be doing? Who's going to be around you? What's that life look like? And I ask you to do that because that dream then is a whole thing towards which we work. You have a goal. You've expressed a goal to me. And the goal should fit into that dream, but the dream is bigger. Does that make any sense?
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if you're thinking work or personal. I was like seeing myself with this beautiful woman I climbed with, and I saw myself with her and having 2 children and a dog walking Chrissy Field, maybe kicking the ball, walking to the beach. I mean, I cycle by there all the time on my commute to work. And I don't know if that's appropriate, but that's the image I got when you said, I want you to paint a picture of what your life would look like if you could just dream it. I didn't think about any material things.
Yeah.
Of course, the other thought that simultaneously popped in my mind was having my own company and creating drugs of a magnitude that would be meaningful. Like I told you last time about the AIDS ride. Like if I would have a company that could do any kind of pharmaceutical development for AIDS patients to make their life more livable and have my own company, that would be like a dream for me. Having a team of people that I trust, working on something that's really meaningful to me. And it doesn't have to be a big company, even if it's a tiny company that just develops one drug. Because the company I work for now is huge. And it does all these different drugs. And I'm just one little part of that company, like the big machine, right?
Yeah.
But to have your own company and work something like this one specific medicine that you're passionate about. And in my postdoc, I did work on HIV and I did research in that direction. And I'm not working, I'm doing, painkiller for a headache. And it's more of the manufacturing part of it. And that's just because that's where they need me now. But to have something to work towards that would be, like meaningful for HIV patients would be really big. And of course, the first bigger image picture would be to have a family, to live in San Francisco and have two kids but I mean, that's not rational because I just met her. So
in my experience, it's very unlike a guy. And I say that because I think women often, what I describe as buy the dress. They'll go out with some guy and they'll project the whole thing to the big wedding. But maybe I've just never heard a guy be excited about a woman that he's just met. And it makes me very happy. It makes me, it makes me feel good. So, and it's your dream. It's not mine. It's not important that it make me feel good, but it is. I think the reason I want to say that to you is that I want you to know that that dream has energy. That when I hear it, I can see a spark in your eyes. I can see the kind of you kind of sit up straighter when you talk about that. And that's important about a dream, that you be able to see something that you want, that you want more than you want to be good at your job. I hear that you want to be good at your job. You want it more than you want to be go on the next AIDS ride, that the whole image has energy for you. And usually when a goal that you have or a set of goals that you have integrity with that dream, there's also more energy to work on the individual goals. I don't know if that's true for you, but that's usually true. So you met this person and you're still really stressed at work.
Right.
So this dream takes a fair amount of financial wherewithal and also I think a fair amount of professional capability. If you're going to have your own company, you're going to need to have the skills that you're beginning to acquire as a manager, as a supervisor, but also as to use your doctorate to produce something that and to know what's involved in producing that thing that seems important to you. So these are steps that we're taking that lead in the direction of that dream. Is there any logical next step in your that you think of? Is there something that you want to step into in either the sphere of your managing, and it sounds like we're getting to crisis time with the testing that you're doing. And is there anything that you want to do in terms of sort of prescribing for yourself a next step outside of work?
I'm thinking that I would ask her out if she comes next week, and just ask her out for dinner, because I do eat, but I just don't sleep a lot. As far as work, yeah, it's crunch time. I think I'm doing well, but it's coming right down to the wire right now.
Are you getting any feedback from Brad, from your boss, about how you're doing in this testing period?
Well, he's on me like, no mistakes. Mm-hmm. We cannot afford any mistakes right now. The whole year of preparation comes down to this when it sends out. Basically, when we're sending out to testing, basically, it has to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And we're there, but we have to stay there. And so it's like flying a plane every day. The plane is ready and everything is checked out, but just keep checking every time, every single spot on the plane, because we cannot have any mechanical failure.
So is the drop date within the next week or so? I can't remember, but I know I've had a conversation with Brad about it.
Yeah, I mean, the drop date is 14th, which is in 2 weeks. And we basically need to be all ready by the 10th. Mm-hmm. So the 10th is when we ship, and the 14th is when we test. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, we're basically now as ready as we can be, but we have to stay ready. We cannot allow any mistakes to slip in.
So as you approach this drop date and you continue, I think, to set expectations with your team and to acknowledge what they're doing, because they're going to be feeling the same kind of pressure and know what the drop date is and know that you want to look good, and they know they want to make you look good.
Right.
Are you going to have time for a date?
Well, like I said, I do eat, and so I was basically thinking I'm going to casually invite her to have a bite of food.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not going to I'm not gonna try and impress her, taking her to a fancy restaurant to go outside the city. I'm just gonna ask her if she wants to share a meal with me.
Great.
And I'm, I told her a little bit about my work, and she knows I'm really busy. But I think she's the kind of gal that if she doesn't go for it, I'm going like, well, maybe she's not for me.
Sure.
I just like to get a burrito or get some food in the mission.
Sounds good.
Just to talk a little bit, get to know her.
I hesitate to ask you to do something in addition to what I know is already a fair amount of pressure. I think the only thing that I would say, given your interest in continuing to be a good, maybe a great supervisor, is that you be mindful, that you continue to be mindful that other people are as tired as you are around this issue.
I will. You know what I thought you were going to say? I thought you were going to say take her to a good restaurant. Because that was what my mom would have said. Because, my mom basically, she would have said, that's a great idea, the burrito. But if you're thinking, future, so I'm actually changing my mind. I'm actually taking her to a good restaurant. Even though you didn't say that, I thought you were going to say that.
So I'm your mom now.
Well, I feel as comfortable as with my mother talking to you. And you do give me advice, which is what my mother does too. I just don't take my mother's advice.
I get that. I have my own children who don't take my advice.
But yours I will.
Well, I think either is fine.
Yeah?
I think kind of the better the restaurant, the higher the stakes.
Right.
And I would trust your judgment about how high you want the stakes to be initially.
Yeah, but it's like you when you really pursue somebody, and I haven't done that for so long, you want to show them also that you appreciate them. And if you're too casual about it, it could also blow somebody off.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be very high priced, but I'm thinking like I probably should go to a good restaurant. Have one good meal, because I'm not really eating good. I'm just drinking sodas, eating pizza out of the box, and eating burritos out of the truck. And if I take
that's unlike you.
I know.
That's unlike you as I know you.
I do eat good stuff at home for lunch. I make my own lunch. I do eat good breakfast. But when you're in crunch time, you just eat whatever on the table.
Yeah. So I want to hear about this date. I want to hear about this good dinner. And I want to hear that the drug has been brought successfully to market and that you all get to take a weekend off. That's what I want to hear next time you come.
That would be amazing.
All right? Thanks, Vincent.
Thank you.